I'm about to show you some of the craziest hiding spots on Cbelieu, so make sure to lock in and pay attention, because here's just a few examples of the craziness that you're about to witness. Now, without me talking anymore, we're going to dive straight in and get started with the first one over here on Villa. Now, this first one's for the Astro telescope on the second floor. What you're going to do is you're going to come over here and you're going to break the top of this brown telescope, leaving the bottom part, and moving left to right, you'll get a vol prompt up on top of the globe. You're then going to go all the way to the top of the crates, and you're going to need to lay prone here and move backwards along the edge of the crate until you're on the very front of it. You're then going to stand up and make sure that you're right on the very corner of it, and then what you're going to do is you're going to have your teammate place a keeper barrier on the top right hand side of the crate, and as it hits and starts forming, you're going to run and you'll be able to push across the top of the keeper barrier and get a vault up on top of the scope. I don't even need to explain the angles you have up here. You have the upper hand on the attacker on everything coming up Astro stairs, coming in from the bathroom. It is a crazy spot to use. Now, over onto fireplace, this spot on the second floor study is back with a new method using Azami. So what you're going to do is you're going to place your first keeper barrier on the very underside of this little lamp up on the fireplace, and you'll know if you've done it right when you have this kind of dagger shaped keeper barrier going straight into the wall. You're then going to get up on top of the chair, and once you're up on top of the chair, you're going to place a second keeper barrier along the edge of that dagger, making sure that the keeper barrier is aiming upwards, and you'll know if you've done it right where this kind of small little ramp shaped barrier appears on the top of the fireplace. You're then going to get up on top of the chair and you'll be able to vault up on top, and this is just such a crazy spot. It's risky, but it's so much fun to catch people off guard with this. Big shout out to like Coconut, the Spot Finders, Cbelieu, Blackexe, for all the people who've been working to unpatch some of these crazy spots. I'll make sure to link some of them in the description, but up here you're going to have so much fun catching attackers off guard. You can also protect yourself with keeper barriers on the window, on the doors. You can even spawn peek people coming down from ruins just looking out the top corner of the door. But this is definitely one of those spots that you can have a lot of fun with, whether it's in ranked or just playing in on maybe unranked or casual with your friends, and it's really easy to practice and use. Now, before we continue with the video, almost 90% of you are not subbed to the channel, so make sure to hit that subscribe button so we can hit 200k by the end of November. Now, staying on Villa for this next one, inside trophy room on the second floor, if you jump up on top of this middle counter and then run onto the green chair and then onto the side of the wall, you'll be able to get up on top of this wardrobe up against the back wall. Now, what you have to do is you have to break this pop but leave the base of it intact, which will allow you to get the vol prompt up on top of the wardrobe. Now, you have to place a keeper barrier on that little white square on the side of the wardrobe, and you will then get a vol prompt up on top of it. Now, from up here you can see all the way across to the master door, the rotate out into Astro, and of course the doorway out into Boar. Now, you can also create one-way angles with keeper barriers by placing one on the bottom right of this arch here, and then one just almost to the center of it. You can even move it more to the right to make it even more difficult and have a really strong pixel angle onto that master door, so you have that protection there. And of course you can place them on the doors or on the bomb chassis itself to protect you of anyone swinging you from the Astro rotate. This is a really fun spot. I've used this quite a number of times, and it's highly effective in catching those attackers when they're pushing in and trying to get the diffuser down. You can see this barrier here on the side of the bomb chassis for watching that rotate over inside Astro, of course, and you can also make holes in the wall to see anyone coming up the Astro stairs. Now, staying on Villa for this next one, the first floor kitchen. Now, this spot is one of those OG spots. It's been unpatched and patched a million times, but this method still works to get into this spot. So what you're going to do is you're going to break the top two shelves on the green shelf here on the left, making sure not to break anything else, and then you can run from the counter up on top of the green shelf. You're going to push up against it and then walk towards the upper shelf, breaking the teapot, and this will give you a vol prompt up on top of it. Now, you can sit up here and you can watch anyone coming in from China or anyone coming in from the pantry door, but you can extend this spot by standing up and then running towards the top of the extractor fan and crouching as you reach the extractor fan, which will get you on top of it, and then you can crouch walk along the side of the shelf on top of the fridge in the corner. Again, you have multiple angles up here, and playing Vigil, you can hide away from drones, attackers trying to come in and get intel. You'll be tucked away up on top of the fridge here. You can catch them completely off guard and get some easy picks. Now, on to the next one, and this is going to stay on Villa once again for that 90 haul on the first floor. This is one of those OG spots. By breaking the tree in the corner, you can run up on top of these bushes, and if you lay prone and make sure to tuck into the wall and have your legs in front of you, you are pretty much a ghost inside of this this spot. Now a lot of attackers like to push in that mudroom window and make their way into the building, and you could pop up and catch them off guard and get an early pick in the round and give yourselves the advantage of winning the round. Now moving on to the next one, guys, and this one is going to take us into mudroom on the first floor. Now this is one of those crazy spots that if you pull it off, it's going to be insane. But what you're going to do is you're going to break this little shelf here next to the wardrobe, and then you're going to break open the whole shelf inside the wardrobe, and you're going to place a keeper barrier on the corner of the second bench. You can vault over the keeper barrier and get inside of the wardrobe. Now I would advise you to break the keeper barrier so they don't notice and wonder what the hell's going on. And you can get inside of the wardrobe here, and you could even place a keeper barrier to close yourself in here and then wait for any sound cues of them pushing in that mud window. You could then unleash a whole bunch of bullets through that wardrobe door and completely catch them off guard. Now again, this is just a purely spot for fun because it's so risky if you get caught, because there's no way of escaping if they drone you out inside of this spot. Moving on to Nighthaven for this crazy spot inside the second floor electrical, where you can get up on top of the generator in the middle of the room. Now what you're going to do is you're going to vault up on top of that little side table up against the wall, and you're going to move to the very top left corner of that little table. You're then going to have your friend use a keeper barrier to place it on the top left corner while they're laying prone next to the container, and you can then run as they place the keeper on the side of the container and run across the keeper barrier and get a vault up on top of the middle generator. Now up here, you're just going to catch them completely off guard. If you lay prone, you're going to completely confuse them as they push through, whether it's through the window or coming through from connector towards the main bomb site. This is a really good spot, and it's again a very simple one to use, similar kind of technique to what you use over on Astro for getting up on top of the telescope. As for this next spot, and it's located on the first floor inside the kitchen. Now this is a crazy spot and it requires a keeper barrier to get into it. So what you're going to do is you're going to impact and break those two shelving units above the fridge. You're then going to jump up on top of the counter and walk in line with the sink, and you're going to be looking at the top left corner of that cupboard on the bottom of the counter. Now you're going to line it up with the top left corner, and what you're going to do is as you place the keeper barrier, right when you hit it, you're going to run forward and it's going to push you up on top of the fridge. You'll then be able to get a vault prompt up on top of the shelf on the top, and you can break the keeper barrier so they won't have any idea that you're up here, and you can actually use this as a spawn peek, catch them off guard coming in from the construction site heading towards the kitchen, or you can just hold angles onto the little freezer door here, or tuck yourself in the corner and watch out towards the kitchen door itself. You can lay prone and you're well hidden from any drones, and you can catch them completely off guard. And we're staying on Clubhouse for this next spot, and this is two methods to get into this spot. The first one requires two people. You're going to have someone stand on the third step of the metal stairs in garage, and what you can do is you can use a body boost by pushing up the front of them, and you'll be able to get up on top of the railing. You can then walk all the way across the railing to the far side of the room, where you're going to perform a corner boost by moving slightly left to right very quickly on the very edge of the railing, and you will get propelled across onto the shelf. Now from here you can walk all the way across by breaking these small boxes here, pushing across to the other side onto the other metal shelf, and you can sit up here and wait for any attackers pushing in the garage door, or even someone coming up from swamp. Now of course this is a risky spot. You could get droned out, you could get picked off very easily, but if they don't drone you, maybe have someone bring some mute jammers to catch them off guard, and then they'll push in and you can pick them off. Now the only difficult part about this of course is the body boosting, so I have a second method that requires one person, and it involves using Ella mines. Now what you're going to do is you're going to have Ella place 3 mines on the side of the railing. You'll see exactly where the placements are just here right now. You just place them along in a line along the edge of that railing, and then when you go to the top here and you aim and look right towards the Ella mines, you'll get a vault up on top of the railing. Now you can pick these Ella mines back up to use later, and then you can continue the same method as before. It is going to require practice. This is an advanced spot. The corner boost is quite difficult, and the 2-person one is as well, but it's a good one to keep in mind. Now a question for you guys: what do you think of the current state of Siege-X? What would you do to fix it? Comment down below and let me know. Now moving on to Kafe for this next one, and this is a really sick spot inside the middle of the kitchen side on the first floor. Now this spot's been around for a while and it's still in the game, and what you're going to do is you're going to place a Kiba barrier on the side of this extractor fan on the oven, and then you're going to jump up on top of the other counter. You're going to get on the side of this little ledge and look to the corner of the Kiba barrier, and you can vault up on top of these middle ovens. You can sit up here and watch anyone create angles out towards the red stairs. You can watch anyone coming in from prep. You can also make holes to watch all the way out over the whiskey bar towards brown stairs, and of course you can use those extra Kiba barriers to protect yourself so that they can't pick you off as they're pushing towards the bomb site. You can build yourself a little fortress up here by placing multiple Kiba barriers on the sides, or even further outfield up on top of the other extractor fans, so you could really have a good strong power position from sitting on this spot. Now moving on to the next one, and this is inside the reception area on the first floor. This is another OG little spot that I've had around for a long time. If you just break that pillow on the side of that bench and then put a Kiba barrier, you can vault straight over it, break the Kiba barrier, and you can actually lay prone behind this pot. Now it looks like you could get seen very easily, but if you actually have someone check this out and have them walk in the doorway, the pot completely blocks you from view, so you can jump up and catch them completely off guard. It's a super simple spot and a great one to try out, especially if the bomb site is down inside kitchen. Now over onto Oregon for this next one, and this is the bunk spot inside the kids room. Now you used to be able to get into all of the bunk beds, but this is the only one that is workable at the moment. There are other methods, but they take too long and they wouldn't be usable in a ranked match or any other mode. So what you can do here is, if you place it on the bottom right like I said and move left to right, you'll get a vol prompt inside of the bunk bed. Now you can hide behind the bomb chassis, and if you do bring her shotgun with the ACOG, you can make holes out towards big window if they're making a push from that side. And of course, if they do take control of attic and they're making a push through the rotate trying to get into here to plant the diffuser, you could be hidden in here and catch them off guard as they're planning the diffuser. You can also watch for anyone trying to rappel in that kid's window. So again, this is like a nice strong spot to use. Now, moving on to the next one, guys, and this one is over onto Consulate inside the side room on the second floor. You can impact this little table in between the couches, and if you place a Kiba barrier on the leg of the couch, you'll be able to vault over it in behind the couches. Again, this is such a high traffic area, people pushing up yellow stairs, people rappelling in the window, trying to get the diffuser down. You can be hidden in here and you have multiple angles and you can jump up and catch them off guard. It's also easy to get out of this spot, but you do require to use another Kiba as there is no vault prompt, so you just place another one on the leg and you can vault straight back out. Now staying on Consulate for this next spot, and it's located down inside the basement, and this is for the security room. Now this is really good with Azami as well, but you can use any op to get into the spot by breaking that TV in the far corner and then running across the side of the desk. You can stand on the other TV and walk up on top of this ledge. You're nicely hidden up here, especially if anyone's pushing in from the back side of the map coming into the security room. You can catch them off guard, and you can also make an angle by breaking the top of this soft wall here. You can see all the way out towards that yellow door. Now why I said Azami is so good is you can actually place a Kiba barrier on the top of that yellow door, so you can only see their legs and they cannot see you sitting in that spot. So it's a really simple but again highly effective spot to use for that basement side on Consulate. And you'll be able to see exactly where these bullets are hitting for that yellow door. As I'm sitting up in that spot, you can see it's hitting right on the pipe, right on that door frame, so as they're starting to peak, you can pick them off before they even have a chance. Now this next one takes us over on the border, and this is another OG spot inside the supply room on the first floor. So on this first locker here, you're going to place a Kiba barrier on the handle, and then you're going to jump up on this large container. You're going to break those two small boxes and you'll instantly get a vault prompt over the top of the barrier up on top of the side of those lockers. You can then sit up here and you can create so many different angles from up here. It is a really strong spot. You can watch anyone on the window by hiding behind these bags. You can also create angles by looking over towards the detention wall as they push in there, which again is another one of those high traffic areas that people try to get into the map early in the round. You can move around to the other side here and hide behind these white buckets, and of course you can also make holes in the tops of the soft walls out towards customs and also out towards the bottom metal and in towards workshop. Now moving on to the next spot, guys, and this one's going to take us over onto Skyscraper, and it's located on the first floor inside the pantry. Another really OG spot that I used a long time ago, and it's really simple. You just impact the corner of that bottom shelf and you can actually lay prone inside of here, and it's such a dark spot that it's really difficult for them to drone you out. You can see here on this little cinematic how hard it is for them to see it. They're going to walk in from that delivery delivery area, pushing through pantry, and you can just jump up and catch them completely off guard. Now moving on to Outback for these next couple of spots, and this is to get on the red and blue generator right inside the first floor garage here. You're going to stand on the side of this tire and you'll get a vol prompt up on top of it. Now in order to get the second vol prompt, you need to make sure you're standing at the highest point on the tire, and then you can get up on top of the generator, hide behind this white bucket, and it's going to be really hard for them to see you, and you can catch anyone pushing in the garage door, coming in the windows from the upper level, or anyone pushing in from the front side of the building heading towards the garage stairs. So again, super simple but highly effective spot to use over on Outback. Now the second one, a lot of people just don't seem to realize you can just literally lay prone and just crawl through and land on this blue generator. So many people telling me it's patched, but it's really not, and again, it's a simple spot, but again, an effective one to use. So these are all effective spots. I want to make sure that I'm kind of covering some of the more harder ones and easier ones for people who are learning to use some of these spots. Now moving over onto Chalet, and this is a perfect example of simple but effective. The main lobby one, this is OG once again. You might have remembered some of the clips I've gotten from this spot. You can just lay prone in the bush, making sure your legs are tucked in towards the wall. You can see on the cam here that it's like literally impossible to see me in this spot, and I know a lot of people are going to complain about, well, they've that new outline of attackers and defenders in the game, so it's going to be easier to see them, but in the heat of the moment, in the heat of the gunfights, when you're pushing into the building, you're just not going to see that outline, so these bushes are still very viable. Another one works inside dining here. You can use that one over in the corner, or you can just lay prone right here, and as they push it maybe from trophy heading towards west main stairs or coming in from the lobby, again, you can just pop up and catch them off guard. Now this is not just the end of the video, it is another chance for you to learn more about the game, and this video on screen all about really sick tricks for every ranked match on Siege. The link will be in the description, so make sure to click that and head over to that video, and you might learn something new there as well. And of course, if you're new, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can keep up to date on all of my next videos, and as always, I'll talk to you in the next one.